Hi guys, I'm Yogesh. I'm from PG20. I'm from Kolkata. I did my bachelor's from St. Xavier's College, Kolkata, and currently I'm PPO'd at Godrej Properties. First of all, we can start off with the overview of why is it that case estimates or case interviews are conducted as part of the process of consulting companies. So, this is the hiring process of consulting companies. So, the first step is resume shortlisting. The second step involves a buddy call or a company interaction. In step three, we have guesstimates, which is usually the initial interview. After that, we have case interview. We can also have multiple rounds. And the last step is HR interview, which is generally conducted by the partner. So now let us understand that what are the different parts of a case interview. So when we talk about case interview, there are three sections. So the first part is scoping. So in this part, you're supposed to ask questions. So for example, you get a problem statement that this is what has happened, and then you ask questions. So that part in where you ask questions is known as scoping, and it has a lot of weight. I believe that as part of the entire process, it would be around 40%. After that, we have structuring, which is the next part. I hope I am audible. If in any at any point of time I'm not audible, do let me know. The next part is structuring. So in this part, now that you know what the problem is and you've asked your questions, you start structuring the problem and you try to just identify that what is the real problem. So this basically involves putting a framework to test and understanding that what is the root cause. And the last step and the least important step according to me is actually giving recommendations based on your understanding of the problem itself. So these are the three sections of a case interview, and we'll try to cover all the three sections and understand how we can improve upon them. Just a heads up. So these six sessions will try to teach you about the basics of case interviews. But what you guys need to do is to ensure that you're very good at cracking case interviews is a lot of practice. So making consulting groups and then conducting case interviews together is something which is very important, and I hope this session helps you achieve the same. So now coming to how do we prepare for case interviews. So I'll go section by section. So the first part is scoping. So in scoping we have three parts. The first part is our ability to understand the question itself. The second part is to understand the objective that the interviewer wants you to look into. And third part is using a framework known as Industry Plus 3C and P framework, which I'll discuss further. In structuring, you need to understand and master frameworks. So here the four very important frameworks are profitability, market entry, pricing, and M&A. And also abstract cases are very important because usually when it comes to MBB at least, you get a lot of abstract cases. You will not be getting profitability, market entry, or pricing cases. And lastly, when it comes to recommendations, you need to understand the industry itself, and for that you need to look into the different industries and understand their value chains, their key drivers, and the key trends in those industries. So this is how we can prepare for each section and become better. Now talking about a list of materials, so this is something which we covered in the mail as well sent by strategist, but then again these are the list of materials that we can look into in order to improve our own understanding. So now that we know that what is the interview, what is the consulting hiring process, what is a case interview, and what are the parts of a case interview, we can now shift to understanding how we can do scoping in a much better way. Structuring will be covered in the further sessions, and for recommendations, you have to study yourself the different industries as mentioned on the slide. So now shifting to scoping. So this is a sample case that I have in mind, right? So Your client is Chennai Super Kings and they have been experiencing a decrease in merchandise sales since last 2 quarters. So you're supposed to analyze that why did this happen. So now we will try to create a scoping framework or try to do a sample scoping for this particular case. So you can write your answers in the chat box itself and then we can discuss the same and try and understand that what went right or what went wrong. So now the first question is that do we understand the problem? So here there are 2 to 3 things that all of us need to understand. So the first part of the problem is that Chennai Super Kings is a IPL team and it is the merchandise sales will be impacted by the team performance and XYZ. So just the fact that we understand that what is the context of the case, that is important. So in a lot of cases, for example, in my interview, I got a telecom case, so I didn't have an idea. So it's better to just ask the interviewer to give a brief about what the case is or what the industry is if you don't have an idea about the same. The next part is understanding the objective. So can any you can write in the chat box that what do you think is the objective of the case? We understand that there has been a decrease in sales since the last 2 quarters, but what would be the objective of client? Is it to stop the decrease in sales? Is it to bump up the sales? So if there is anything that you believe could be the objective, you could just mention in the chat box. All right, cool. Yeah, so basically similar answers. So to understand that why did the sales decrease and then to increase the same. So yeah, that is correct. But then again, it is also important for us to confirm the objective with the client itself. So ideally, when you hear the problem, it's better to just confirm the objective with the interviewer that sir, आपका ये objective है that we need to decrease that the sales have been decreasing since the last 2 quarters. So I'm supposed to analyze why and then also suggest recommendations to improve it. So that ensures that you know the problem and the objective. Now coming to the third and most important part, which is scoping. So now tell me what are the questions that you would ask, and we will go step by step. So we'll not try and cover everything in one go. So first, let us start off with industry. So what are the questions that you will ask in regard to industry in order to get a better understanding of the case? All right, Rohan says is only CSK facing this issue or all? So this is a very relevant question in terms of industry. That is it company specific or is it an industry trend? All right, what is the market size of the industry itself? Has the market size decreased? Is there a shift in interest to another sport? ठीक है. Harshita, this is since how long would not be part of the industry? Um, how much decline in sales? ठीक है. Competitive landscape, yes. So let's just stick to industry, right? Let's not stick to any other aspect here. ठीक है. What is the competitive landscape? That is a relevant question. ठीक है. Cool. So basic questions when it comes to industry are multiple. So the first question is that is it only CSK who is facing the issue, or is it an issue that is faced by all IPL teams? The second very important thing to do is to understand that what is the external environment in the industry itself, what is the competitive landscape, is there anything relevant to the case? And lastly, understanding basic details such as is there any change in market size? How is the industry? Is the industry very fragmented or there are just few players? And how is the industry driven? What are the key drivers of the industry? So this is the first pillar. And initially we ask questions which are relevant to the industry. Now next, let us shift to the product itself. So now when we talk about product, what are the questions that we can ask in reference to the product? You guys can write in the chat box. Okay, what are the various product segments? Yes. Uh, Product mix, correct. Price and quality, correct. Yes, so basically when we talk about product, in here we ask questions such as what is the product mix? What are the different products in the merchandise department that CSK is offering? It could be that there is one particular product which amounts to 80% of the sales, and hence we just have to analyze that. Second, you can focus on what are the different channels that you are using to push the product. How is the product sold? Is it sold online? Is it sold through a particular outlet? And next we can try and figure out that what are the how do we price the product? Have you priced it at a premium compared to our competitors or whatnot? And how do we promote the product? Also, it is also important to understand that what are the substitutes and complements of the product. So I'll give a case in point here. uh, do you guys know what pulse candy is? I'm assuming that आप लोग सबको पता होगा that what is pulse candy. So there was a case that I solved in which pulse candy का sale started decreasing अचानक से. So why did it happen? And that case was related to the substitutes and complements wala part. If you guys can just say that why do you think that pulse candy ka sale decreased in reference to substitute and complements? Matlab, whatever you think could be the answer. नहीं, substitutes और complements के हिसाब से. So in reference to substitutes and complements. So what could be the complements, or for example, let us not focus on substitutes. What could be a complement product to pulse candy? Uh, Complement, that would be a substitute, Himal. Uh, yes, Anurag is correct. Cigarettes. So uh, basically, cigarettes. There was an issue in the supply chain of a cigarette manufacturer, because of which cigarettes were not reaching the different pan shops, because of which the sale of pulse candy fell. So for such cases, it is also important to understand what are the substitutes and complements. And also it is important to understand the elasticity of the product itself. Will increase in price be beneficial for us, or will a decrease in price be beneficial for us, is something that we can understand by the elasticity of the product. And also lastly, but also very important, it is important to understand that how have we differentiated our product in reference to our competitors, or is there no differentiation at all? So these are the different questions that we can ask in the product segment. Now we will move on to the competition segment. So what are the questions that we can ask in reference to competition? There were some questions that came in earlier, that what was the competitive landscape, what were the prices of the competitors. So is there any question you guys believe we can ask in reference to the competition? Matlab, when we talk about competition, so basically there are just a few questions that we can ask around. So first could be the four P's of the competitor itself. Next could be that what is the strategy? Like Apeksha said, that what is the distribution channel? So part of the four P's of the competitors itself. Next could be that what is their strategy? Now this is a very important question. For example, if a particular competitor is very aggressive and they are in an expansion mode, then that could be a problem for us. So understanding what is the competitor strategy and if they have taken any new initiative or decision. So that is some, these are the following questions that we can ask in terms of competition. Now the next two segments are utterly important, and usually most of the solutions lie in the next two segments that we are going to discuss, which is the customer and the company. So when it comes to customer, what are the questions that we can ask at the start of an interview to get a better context? ठीक है, who are our customers, correct. ठीक है, एज ग्रुप पार्ट ऑफ सेगमेंटेशन, कि हाँ अपने व्हाट आर द कस्टमर सेगमेंट्स, इट कुड बी इन टर्म्स ऑफ एज और एनीथिंग. ठीक है, व्हाट आर द कस्टमर एक्सपेक्टेशंस, वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. एवरेज ट्रांजैक्शन वैल्यू, बट ठीक है, प्रोडक्ट मार्केट फिट, perceived value of the product, correct, very important. ठीक है, so when it comes to customers, so there are just a few questions that are very important. First is understanding who are our customers, what are our customer segments. Now these segments could be in terms of very different things. It could be in terms of income, demographics, or it could be based on a psychographic segmentation. So क्या segmentation होगा, it will vary from product to product, but it is important to understand who are our customers. The next factor that is very important to understand is that how does a customer take a buying decision. So just understanding the consumer journey itself, that what is the journey, who are the influencers, what are the triggers that a consumer is affected by when he or she takes a buying decision. Also understanding that has there been any change in the purchase behavior in the past, and what are the needs of our customers, very very important. And lastly, the last cohort that we could ask questions in is the company itself. So what are the questions that we could ask which are relevant to the company itself directly? ठीक है, geography, financials, correct. ठीक है, any issues from supply side? Cool. So when we talk about the company, the first part that we need to understand is how have we performed in the past, and has there been any major internal change, because external changes we covered in the industry itself. Also understanding what are the financial and operational capabilities. Now this is a point that is utterly important, because whenever you're giving recommendations, you cannot give a recommendation that a company cannot implement. So for that, it is very important to understand that what are the financial and operational capabilities of the company itself. If we give a recommendations which is not in line with the capability of the company, that recommendation is bad. Also, it is very important to understand that what is the company strategy, which is also part of the core competency of the company. That was it, what are those things that our company is good at, and what are those things that our company is not good at. Because a lot of time the recommendations would involve outsourcing the non-core competencies to outside agencies. So hence it is important to identify the core competencies as well. So as you can see on the screen, these are the different questions that we can ask when we talk about scoping. Now you don't have to ask all the questions. This is just a framework or a template that you can use to understand that these are the questions that I can ask. And then based on whatever case you receive, you will ask the questions to your interviewer to understand better what the problem is. And then we can move into structuring. So that is the whole agenda of scoping. Now, scoping is utterly important because it is the first impression. What it is important to ask questions, but it is also very important to understand that why are you asking that question. If you ask a question which is irrelevant, it reflects poorly on you, and majorly the interviewer will ask you himself or herself that why is it that you have asked this question. Hence, whatever question you ask must be relevant, and they must be to the point, and also they should be something that is adding value to the case. If the case is about profitability and you ask questions which are not relevant at all, then that will reflect poorly on you. So this is a very good template that you can use for conducting scoping, and as you practice using this template, you will get better and better, and hopefully this template helps. But this is the template that we have designed based on our understanding. Of course, when you practice yourself, आपके understanding के हिसाब से the template will keep changing. So that is something that is personal to you, and you can work upon that. So this is what we had in store for scoping. Uh, are there any questions in reflect in relation to this particular segment of the session? So if there are any questions, we can take them up. Okay, cool. So if we don't have any questions, so I'll skip to the guesstimates. So that is the part that will take some time because we have three cases to solve. So moving on to guesstimates. Okay, so let us first try and understand that what are the objective of the guesstimate itself, and why is it that we conduct the guesstimates. So guesstimates are part of the interview because you get a very abstract problem. It could be anything based on whatever the interviewer wants to ask. It could be find out why is it the number of basketballs in Delhi, number of water bottles sold in a month. So it could be any random question. So how do you deal with something that is so random is something that comes out whenever you solve a guesstimate. And because inherently the questions are random, it is difficult to structure them, and it is difficult to find what are the key drivers. So these are the two very important parts. And now the third part that is also very very important is that how do you communicate something so random when you structure something random to the interviewer itself. So this is very important because whenever you are working in a consulting firm, you'll be handling clients. So the clients will put forward a complex problem which you will solve, and the solution is no good if you cannot communicate it in a very clear way. And hence the communication bit is something that is very difficult for guesstimates, and so hence it helps the companies to understand whether a person is able to communicate or not. So there are certain data points that are important for guesstimates. So the first data points would be in reference to the country itself. What is the GDP, population? So try and take numbers which make your calculation easier. Like 1.2k, 1.2 say better, it's easier to take 1 billion. And similarly, all the other numbers. Next, in terms of ratio, you can assume that India has a 50-50 sex ratio, and urban is to rural population ratio would be 40 is to 60. And lastly would be the data points in terms of who are above poverty line, below poverty line. You can assume that the lifespan is from 0 to 60 and the entire population is uniformly distributed. For example, uh, what I mean by uniform distribution is that so the number of people from 0 to 30 would be 30 by 60, which is 50%. So the population is uniformly distributed. This is just then again to make your calculations easier, and then the number of people in terms of who have high income, middle income, and low income. So that is how you can the ratios could be 20-40-20 for urban and different for rural, depending on whatever the ask is. So then these are the basic data points that you will need to solve any guesstimates. So this is just like a starter that you need. Without it you won't be able to solve. So now that you understand that why is it important to have guesstimates and what are the key data points, let us now move on to the first guesstimate, which is the McDonald's case. So now you guys can unmute. Yeah, it would be better if you guys could raise your hand and discuss your approaches to finding the solution for the McDonald's case. एक-एक करके. If you guys have solved. Just to recap, the McDonald's case was that what is the uh, revenue that a McDonald's in Connaught Place generates in a day. So that was the case. So वो guesstimate को solve करने के लिए हम लोग क्या क्या approaches ले सकते हैं if anyone wants to take a shot at it, and then we can discuss the same. there is no right or wrong इसमें. There are different approaches, 4 to 5 approaches for the same case. So yeah. हाँ रिजुल.
What is the time when we have the heaviest traffic in a restaurant?
ठीक है. So what would be the approach, Rijul, if you could elaborate?
So if we could get the people coming at the maximum time in the restaurant, I could estimate that this is the time when maximum people come, and proportionally less people would come at the other times. And this would be my customer base and how to target in the future sense.
ठीक है. So cool. So basically understanding the number of people who come, and then based on that figuring out what would be the daily revenue. Cool.
Yes.
ठीक है. Shivangi, Mayank, Shivangi.
Yeah, so adding on to Rijul's point, to find out the number of people who come in at the rush hour or during the non-peak hours, I think we can first find out the population of Delhi and also see if there are alternatives of McDonald's available in a, let's say 5-kilometer radius around McDonald's Connaught Place. And then from there we can approach on to see how much of footfall do we have and for McDonald's, and then we can
So
proceed.
this approach में issue ये होगा कि if we are trying to calculate from the population of Delhi, we'll have to figure out how many people come to CP first. Then we'll have to figure out the number of restaurants in CP, the people who prefer McDonald's. So that is something जो बहुत ही complex process हो जाएगा. that would be 4 to 5 guesstimates itself. So Rijul said that consumption कितना होता है उसके basis पे let us calculate the daily revenue. So there is a better proxy available compared to the population of Delhi. We'll discuss the same. Mayank? Mayank, you're not audible.
Am I audible right
now? हाँ Mayank बोलो.
Yeah, so I'm saying कि another approach can be we can assume the average time required to prepare one burger. Let's say 2 minutes is required to prepare one burger. So in an hour we can prepare 30 burgers, and then we can calculate the number of burgers the firm can prepare in a day, which is 24 into 30, 720.
ठीक है. Makes sense. Production based approach कि हम लोग कितना produce कर सकते हैं उसके basis पे.
Yeah.
ठीक है. Ravi?
Yeah, hi. So I did not know what is the size of the restaurant. So I just assumed the size. It's like a mid-size restaurant and sitting capacity. Like there are 25 tables, and time of day I divided into busy and lax. So evening time is something which is busy. So that is like 5 hours, 7 to 12. Midnight is busy, and the rest of it like from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. is lax. And then we can assume average ticket size and then occupancy rate also. For busy, maybe we can keep up 80% or 100% occupancy rate. And for lax, we can assume 30 or 40% occupancy rate. And for similarly for dining also, here also I need to ask the questions first, but I assume some suitable data and then I calculated based on that.
ठीक है. So basically, Shivangi, like Ravi mentioned, the seating capacity would be a better proxy. So अगर consumption के method से जाना है, then figuring out what is the seating capacity and then calculating will be better than figuring out the number of people who visit CP McDonald's.
Actually, what Shivangi said, I first tried that approach, but I realized that it would be very difficult to, ascertain that. So then I went with this approach of the restaurant size and assume the seating capacity and the restaurant size also.
Correct. Cool. Himel?
Yes, one more thing added to this is the takeaway is also there, so that we can add to this. That point. And plus we need to assume one average revenue per order.
Average, yeah.
and then we can multiply and get the final revenue.
Sounds good. Sounds good, guys. So
Yeah.
you guys covered like both the approaches that I had in mind for this case. So the first approach would be a consumption. So first of all, pardon my handwriting. So the first approach would be a consumption-based approach. So in here, the first layer would be so basically we need to calculate the daily revenue of McDonald's, correct? So the first question that we would need to ask is that what is the day? Is it a weekday? Is it a weekend? Because the revenues will differ. So ideally, that is the first question that we would ask. Now, given that we ask that question, the second part would be dividing the day into peak and non-peak hours. So during peak hours, we can assume that a lot of people will come, and during non-peak hours, we can assume that comparatively less people will come. So the first layer is peak, non-peak. Then in peak, we will have this people who are sitting and people who are taking away their food. So in order to calculate the number of revenue we generate from the people who are eating at the restaurant, we need to understand the number of tables. Then we need to understand the time per customer. For example, there is one table and one customer takes 20 minutes to eat. So in an hour, we are serving 3 customers. Then multiplying 3 by the average order value per table. So that will give us the total revenue generated by the restaurant itself, by the people who are eating in the restaurant. So given that, and the number of takeaways could be calculated as a percentage of number of people who are eating it. So that is one way you could go forward, or you can try and calculate it separately as well. कि हाँ इतने लोग आएंगे, इतने लोग के इतने orders होंगे. So basically in peak and non-peak, there will be a change in factors as well. For example, in peak hours, if we assume that the time per customer will be 20 minutes, in non-peak hours, the time of customer will be much more, maybe. And similarly, in peak hours, the number of people who are taking away food will be much more compared to the number of people in the non-peak hours. So I hope this approach is clear, that the first layer is dividing it into peak and non-peak. The second layer is dividing it into the number of people who are eating at the restaurant and number of people who are taking away their food based on the variables as highlighted. So are there any questions with this approach? हाँ अविनाश बोलो.
Yeah, Yogesh. So for the percentage of sitting part, which are written in the walking part, so if we are asked to justify that, so how do we justify that?
Come again, please.
Okay, so you have divided the peak hours into walking and the sitting part, right? The people who are sitting in table and people who are taking away the orders. So over there you have mentioned that we can take the takeaway as a percentage of the sitting part. So in an interview, like it's possible that they will ask to justify how we have taken this percentage. So what could be the factors we could mention over there?
So you could mention the fact that basically when you talk about the number of people who are walking in या number of people who are eating, eventually उन लोग को serve same restaurant कर रहा है, correct? So that is because of the supply side constraint itself, the walk-in has to be a percentage of the sitting itself. So given that, you can say that मतलब both of them are closely linked, correct? So if we are getting an hourly revenue of 100 rupees from the people who are eating in, then the people who are ordering out could be a percentage based on whatever it is. For McDonald's, it could be during peak hours, people come for lunch. So you can assume कि चलो 40 or 50% होगा. Delivery we are not considering. Baki, again, you can ask the interviewer that do you want me to calculate the walk-in part alag se? So if the interviewer says yes, then you can try and make it more granular. So it depends on the interviewer itself. Ha, Ravi.
I wanted to understand, like, for the takeaway, how do we like assume the like lax period and the busy period, and how if should the order value be larger, because the takeaway is usually for families. So
So it depends. So like Ravi mentioned that if you feel that the takeaway is for families, then again in takeaway you can branch it that people who will come for individual orders, the number of people who will come for family orders. So family orders ka average order value will be more. Number of people who come for individuals, their average value will be less. So it's up to you how many to make it. So that is completely up to you. But then again, yes, it is a relevant factor that if people consume, but it's better to take an average order value, because the more number of parameters you take, the more complex it gets and the more difficult it will be for you to justify. Matlab, you can sell a simple thing very easily. All right. So the next part is the production. So again, I believe that at least for this particular case, the production approach will be much better. That is my personal opinion. बाकी लोग का सबका अलग है. So basically, in production, the first lead would again be कि we will divide it into peak and non-peak hours, and then there will be a specific number of counters at a particular McDonald's, correct? क्योंकि McDonald's ज़्यादा मतलब you cannot produce more than what you can sell. So instead of going from a consumption side जिसका कोई upper limit नहीं है, it's better to go from a production side which is constrained by default. So if you note that there are 4 counters at McDonald's and एक काउंटर में 5 मिनट में एक ऑर्डर प्लेस होता है, so 4 काउंटर में तुम अज्यूम कर सकते हो that in there will be 4 orders every 5 minutes, and the time per order will change based on the peak and non-peak hour, and similarly the order value will change, and also the number of counters can change. For example, in non-peak there will be just 2 counters, in peak there will be 4 counters, and based on that you can figure out what will be the daily revenue. So this is a very good method because the number of orders you can take will decide everything for you. It will decide your production, it will decide your seating capacity and everything. So hence the number of orders here would be a very good proxy to find the daily revenue. So is there anything that you guys want to discuss or any questions in the production wala bit? और if you have any opinion कि नहीं ये better नहीं है दूसरा better है, तो if anything that is there we can discuss the same, or we could move to the next case. Cool. So we'll move on to the next case. ठीक है, the number of cars